When we look at the ocean today, we see a world of gentle giants. We see the blue whale, the largest animal in history, drifting peacefully through the dark, filtering tiny krill. We see the sperm whale, diving miles deep to wrestle squid in the abyss. We are taught that whales are the peaceful wanderers of the deep. But this is a lie. The ocean was not always a sanctuary. 12 million years ago, during the Miocene epoch, the waters were a blood-soaked arena. Evolution had forged a different kind of whale, a monster that did not filter plankton, a beast that did not hide in the dark. It was a creature the size of a modern sperm whale, but armed with teeth bigger than a Tyrannosaurus rex. It hunted the ancestors of the whales we love today. It snapped rib cages like twigs. It rivaled the Megalodon for the title of king. This is the story of the ultimate marine predator, the real-life Moby Dick, the nightmare of the Miocene. This is Livyatan. To find the bones of this Livyatan, we must travel to one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, the Pisco Basin in southern Peru. Today, it is a scorching desert of red sand, wind, and relentless sun. It is a place where life struggles to survive. But millions of years ago, this was a thriving, shallow sea teeming with life. In 2008, a team of paleontologists was scouring this desert, battling the heat, looking for clues to the ancient world. They had found fossils here before, ancient seals, penguins, and early dolphins. But on this day, researcher Class Post stumbled upon something that shouldn't exist. Protruding from the dusty rock was a skull. At first glance, it looked like a primitive sperm whale, but as the team began to brush away the sediment of 12 million years, the scale of the discovery hit them. The skull was 3 meters long. That is 9 feet of solid bone. But the skull wasn't the terrifying part. It was the teeth. Modern sperm whales only have functional teeth on their bottom jaw. They use them to grab slippery squid, relying on suction to eat. But this skull, it had teeth on the top and bottom, and they were massive. Some of these teeth measured 36 centimeters long. That is over 1 foot. To put that in perspective, these are the largest biting teeth of any animal known to science. They're thicker than a human arm, bigger than the teeth of a great white shark, bigger than the Megalodon's serrated triangles, even bigger than the serrated daggers of the T-Rex. The scientists knew they couldn't just give this creature a scientific number. They needed a name that commanded fear. They looked to the Bible, to the sea monster mentioned in the book of Job. They named it Livyatan. And to honor Herman Melville, the author who wrote the greatest whale story of all time, Moby Dick, they gave it the species name melvillei. Livyatan melvillei, the beast that made fiction reality. So what did this monster look like when it was flesh and blood? Imagine a modern sperm whale. Now strip away the specialized narrow jaw built for squid. Instead, give it a blocky, robust, thick skull built for heavy impact. Livyatan grew to lengths between 13 and 17 meters, roughly 45 to 55 feet. It weighed as much as 50 tons. But size wasn't its primary weapon. Its weapon was bite force. The skull of Livyatan possessed a deep basin on the top. Scientists believe this held the spermety organ, a massive reservoir of waxy oil found in sperm whales today. This organ is used for echolocation, acting like a biological sonar lens. It allows the whale to see with sound. But in Livyatan, this organ may have served a second purpose, a battering ram. The skull was reinforced, thick enough to withstand massive impacts. Below this organ lay the temporal fossa, the housing for the jaw muscles. In Livyatan, this space was enormous. It indicates a bite force that is difficult for us to even comprehend. When Livyatan slammed its jaws shut, the interlocking top and bottom teeth would shear through blubber, muscle, and bone instantly.
Unlike the Megalodon, which had teeth designed to slice flesh like a serrated steak knife, Leviathan's teeth were spikes. They were designed to puncture and hold. Once it grabbed you, there was no letting go. It was a raptorial sperm whale, a term that sounds like science fiction, but was terrifyingly real. In the Miocene Ocean, the waters were crowded. It was a golden age for marine mammals. There were small dolphins, medium-sized baleen whales, the ancestors of humpbacks and minkies, and primitive seals. For a predator like Leviathan, this wasn't an ecosystem, it was a buffet. Paleontologists believe Leviathan occupied the same ecological niche that the killer whale, or orca, holds today, but on a gigantic scale. While orcas work in pods to take down prey larger than themselves, Leviathan was big enough to do it alone. Imagine the hunt. Leviathan cruises through the murky green water. Its massive heart beats slowly. It sends out a click, a pulse of sound from its nose. The sound wave bounces off a target a mile away, a 20-foot Cetatherium, a type of ancient baleen whale. The Cetatherium is blind to the danger. Leviathan dives deep, masking its approach in the shadows below. Then it angles up. With a few powerful strokes of its massive tail, it accelerates. The impact is devastating. 50 tons of predator slams into the prey at 20 miles per hour. The collision alone might shatter the smaller whale's spine. But then the jaws open. Those 12-inch tusks slam shut across the prey's ribcage. The teeth puncture the lungs and heart instantly. The water turns red. This wasn't a battle, it was an execution. Leviathan didn't just eat fish or squid, it was a whale that ate other whales. Now, if you know anything about the prehistoric ocean, you are asking one question. Wait, but wasn't there someone else ruling the waters at this time? Yes. The Miocene was a unique time in Earth's history because it hosted not one, but two absolute superpredators at the exact same time. In the blue corner, Leviathan, the bone-crushing smart whale. In the red corner, Otos Megalodon, the largest shark to ever live. They lived in the same waters. Fossils of both have been found in the same rock formations in Peru. This means they absolutely knew each other existed. They swam in the same currents. They hunted the same prey. But who was the true king? Megalodon was likely heavier, wider, and possessed a bite force calculated to be the strongest in history. Its strategy was brute force trauma and massive blood loss. But Leviathan had advantages the shark did not. First, intelligence. As a mammal, Leviathan had a complex brain. It could learn, adapt, and perhaps even coordinate with others of its kind. Second, echolocation. Leviathan could sense the Megalodon long before the shark could smell the whale. It had the element of surprise. Third, endurance. A mammal can burst at high speeds and regulate its body temperature better than a fish in changing waters. Did they fight to the death? Predators usually avoid fighting other apex predators because the risk is too high. A broken jaw for a Megalodon or a shattered fin for a Leviathan meant a slow, painful death. It was likely a cold war of the deep. Two superpowers circling each other, stealing kills, testing boundaries, but rarely engaging in all-out war. However, if a mother Leviathan felt her calf was threatened by a wandering Megalodon, the ocean would have witnessed a battle that makes Godzilla vs. Kong look like a playground fight. So, if Leviathan was so powerful, so dominant, so intelligent, where is it? Why are our oceans filled with the gentle blue whale and not this swimming nightmare? The answer isn't a bigger monster. The answer is the weather. Towards the end of the Miocene, the Earth began to cool. The tectonic plates shifted, altering ocean currents. The warm, shallow breeding grounds where Leviathan's favorite prey lived began to disappear. The small, fatty whales that Leviathan relied on for calories couldn't survive the temperature drop. They died out, or evolved into larger, faster species that migrated to the freezing poles. This was the end of the Titans. Leviathan and Megalodon were metabolic machines. They needed massive amounts of food to fuel their giant bodies. They were warm water predators. They couldn't follow the prey into the freezing waters of the Antarctic. The river of food dried up. One by one, the giants starved. The Megalodon vanished, and right beside it, the Leviathan faded into the fossil record. The era of the killer whales was over. The era of the gentle giants had begun. Today, the spirit of Leviathan lives on in a distant cousin, the orca. Killer whales are much smaller, but they possess the same intelligence, the same pack mentality, and the same appetite for other marine mammals.
Please like and subscribe to Primeval Life channel.